Welcome to NovelBot. This is the audiobook of Rebirth of a Genius. Creator Destroyer Chapter 41 to 50. After Sam left with the group, the rest of the members of the pharmaceutical tower also left as they looked at Alfred and Albert. Now, father and son were the only people left in the room. It took a long time for them to come back to their senses. Dad, what does he mean by this? Albert was still confused as he looked at the healed green-scaled lizard and the meat paste of the leg on the ground. Ha! Alfred suddenly slapped Albert out of nowhere. Why do you have to provoke someone you can't afford to offend? He yelled at his son as slumped back into the chair with a dejected expression. He just looked at the healed leg of the lizard. He clearly understood one thing from what Sam told him. He can be as arrogant as he wants, but he can't provoke him. From what he saw, Sam has a light attribute, and he is proficient in healing spells, and he has so much control on his spiritual energy that he can even perform regrowth. Even though it is easy to perform the regrowth on the green-scaled lizard, it is still more than what his skill level can catch up to. If he tried to provoke Sam with a higher social status as a pill master, he will just come and become a certified healer, and then with his young age and potential, he will be in higher status in no time, and even without it, he can just get a few people to do his bidding. But there is one thing that confused him. That is why didn't Sam just take a healer exam and attain higher status? With having proficiency in all main professions, he can enjoy so many privileges. After all, that type of genius is absolutely unheard of. The three big shots also had same doubts, and Felix asked him directly. I have my reasons. This is the answer that he gave without any more reasons. Sam, do you want to accompany us to a meal? Harold asked. No, thank you. I have something going on. I have to go to the Evergreen family as I have some items to auction off. Maybe next time. Sam bid his farewell and looked towards Kelly. He also nodded at her in a polite manner, made his way to the Evergreen family. Kelly looked at his back as if she wanted to say something, but held herself back. After half an hour, Sam went to the Evergreen family house. He is sitting in a room which seems to be where the head of the Evergreen family entertains the guests. There are two people along with him. It is head of the Evergreen family, Marcus, and his son Philip. So, Sam, what is it that you want to auction off today? You even said that it is a big haul. Marcus asked as he looked at Sam, who has a calm expression. Mr. Marcus, do you by any chance have a squad of 14 people in Evergreen family who has a better coordination, and it would be better if they have some fire ice attribute in the squad? Sam asked with confusion. Well, before that, let me show you something. Sam said and took out the robe that you made today morning and wore it. Mr. Marcus, how does it look? Sam asked with a smile as he looked at Marcus, who was looking at the exquisite design of the robe. The robe is quite good, and the quality of the material is great as well. Mr. Marcus, do you have a sparring room? Sam asked with a smile. Sure, let us go. Even though Marcus felt quite puzzled on why Sam asked for a sparring room, he didn't question him and just led the way. When they went to a training room, Sam entered the sparring ring, and seeing this, Philip entered the ring. He looked at Sam and said, Sam, I finally have a chance to spar with you. Even though I know that I am not your match at all, it would still be a tough fight. As soon as he finished, he made some hand seals, and a fireball appeared in his hands. He immediately threw that towards Sam. But his opponent only stood there with a faint smile as fireball hit him in the chest. Marcus and Philip were surprised yet scared. They didn't expect that Sam will take full brunt of attack. But when the smoke cleared, they were even more shocked because there is not even a single thread damaged on the cloth. Sam just stood there with same smile. Philip was still unwilling, and this time a raging fire appeared in his hands. This time he didn't pull his punches at all. The fire flew as it was a river of flames and came towards Sam. This is a spell called incineration. But the outcome didn't change. The damage is non-existent. When Sam was about to say something, he saw something else. Philip concentrated his spiritual energy, as some metallic sheen could be seen on his arms. He immediately took out a sword and made a move towards Sam. A loud sword keen emerged along with a fiery blade as it hit the target. But the outcome was still not what Philip wished for. He saw Sam blocking the sword with his hand, as the sleeve glowed a bit due to injecting spiritual energy. This made the expression of the father and son change. But the most surprised one was Sam. Because, according to information and what everyone knew, as the Philip is a fire attribute acolyte mage at level 5. But what Sam saw now was that Philip is a metal and fire dual attribute acolyte warrior mage at level 7. He was quite perplexed at what he saw and was dumbfounded. Philip is hiding his prowess all the time. But he didn't question it and just stayed silent. Philip also retracted his sword and looked at Sam, and both of them nodded in tacit understanding. Then Sam turned towards Marcus and said, Mr. Marcus, will you please come and assist me? Marcus was dumbfounded by this and stared in daze for a second before he asked, Are you sure? I am not going to have a spar with you. I just want you to make a move so that I could demonstrate my product. After hearing what Sam said, Marcus slowly made his way to the ring and stood there. You can attack me with a power level of around 4th stage novice, Sam said as he took a defensive position. Marcus hesitated a little and then took an attacking stance. A huge blazing flame blasted towards Sam and hit him. This is a novice rain spell called Inferno. When all the smoke cleared up, Philip and Marcus almost fainted from shock. Because Sam is still standing there without a single scratch. But the whole robe is glowing as a big energy barrier formed around Sam. When they saw this scene, they finally understood what Sam's product is. This is an extraordinary product. Just this robe alone will be center of attention of the monthly auction. Marcus took a deep breath and spoke first. Sam, how many of these do you have? He really wants to buy this robe. If possible, he just wants to buy every robe off. But knew this is not possible. Mr. Marcus, aren't you being a little hasty? Demonstration is not finished yet. After he spoke, he took out a thin book and passed it to Marcus and then said, "Please read this." Both Philip and Marcus took the book and flipped through the pages. There are some images and also numerous details regarding the robe, and how can it be most effective. When they finished skimming through the book, Philip and Marcus stared at Sam as if they were looking at a monster. Sam, this is a set for 7. Yes. Then why did you ask for a 14-man squad? Well, I have more than one set. Even though he had the speculation, after he heard the confirmation, he was quite shocked. He immediately ordered for a 14-man team to come to the training room. Mostly they are at Acolyte stage, and there are some fire and ice attribute mages in them. Sam took 14 robes, half of which are red, and another half are blue. He then explained about the robes to the 14 people, and then turned towards Marcus. Half an hour later, Marcus was full of smiles and had a fascinating expression on his face. How about it, Mr. Marcus? Will this do? Are they worthy enough to be auctioned? Sam asked with a faint smile. Sam, how many sets do you have? Marcus asked directly. 4. This reply made Marcus to take in a deep breath. Sam, I want to make a deal with you. I will buy 2 sets directly. Name the price. Marcus asked. Sam pondered a bit. He really didn't have any objection on selling these things to Marcus, as he didn't have a bad opinion of Evergreen family. But these things are his money-making opportunities. After some brief thought, Sam finally replied, Mr. Marcus, I have no objection in selling you. But about the price. I will let you auction 2 sets of the robes, and I will take 60% of the price of the least expensive set from you. But you have to waive the auction commission for me. Okay. As soon as Sam said, Marcus agreed. After making some small talk, Philip and Sam went out, and Marcus went to make some preparations. Philip, can you invite Freya and Haley for a meal? I have to talk something. Sam asked Philip. Sure. Philip asked 2 servants to inform them while he and Sam walked towards the inn. The 2 servants went towards the academy and informed Haley and Freya about the matter. After Sam and Philip waited for a while in the inn, both the young ladies came. They greeted and sat down quietly. They ordered the dishes and finished the meal quickly. All this time, they only made some small talk, and the girls didn't talk much at all. They're still feeling awkward around Sam. Can we go to my mansion? Sam suggested as soon as they came out. Then all 4 of them walked towards the mansion. After they arrived at the mansion, Sam directly took them to the tailoring room. When they entered, all 3 of them were dumbfounded as they saw what was inside the room. There are 2 wooden mannequins which are displaying a dress each. Both the dresses are similar in design, except that one dress is red in color with golden color embroidery, and the other is ice blue in color with white color embroidery. The dresses have 2 components, the top and a pant. The top has short sleeves, and there is a phoenix head embroidered on the left side chest for the red dress, and the body was embroidered along with it, and extended towards the bottom of the waist, where the tail begins, and from which the golden colored feathers are embroidered along the back side of the top. The top is short in front as it covered a little more than the lower abdomen from the chest, as the back of the top is quite long as it extended a little below the calf. The pant is also red in color, which is simple without any exquisite designs. The blue top also has similar design, but the feathers are white in color, and the phoenix embroidery started from the right chest to left. The pant is also an icy blue color. When the 2 girls saw these dresses, they froze on their spots. Even a man like Philip is amazed by the dress. Most importantly, the dresses can not only be worn formally, but also in a battle. But the design on the dress will make the girls quite reluctant to battle with them on. Haley and Freya exchanged glances as they slowly walked towards the dresses and started examining them. They felt the fabric, the design, and everything were quite great, and the craftsmanship is quite excellent. Hello, ladies. You should pay before you take the cloths. Sam interrupted their actions from behind. When Freya and Haley came back to their senses, they again became awkward. 10 spirit stones each. Pay up and take your dress, Sam said as he reached out his hand with a smile. Haley and Freya couldn't help but smile at Sam's behavior. How much is Sam's worth? How rich is he? 10 spirit stones are not a matter at all. They exchanged glances and took out the spirit stones and passed over. Sam, this is not fair. I asked for a dozen dresses. You only made one. Freya was back to herself again. Since Sam can still remember their request for dresses, that means he is still treating their friendship normally, irrespective of their family's actions. Can you not be that shameless? Haley also smiled as she scolded Freya. There's a surprise in the dress. If you were in a dangerous situation, direct all the spiritual energy into the dress right before the impact, Sam said from behind. Freya and Haley felt quite confused, and Philip was the most bitter one. He already knew what Sam can do with a normal robe. If the people who buy Sam's clothes in auction knew that 2 such clothes are sold at 10 spirit stones, he wondered how they felt. After the girls took their dresses and left the mansion, Philip and Sam sat in the living room. Sam, can I ask you something? Philip asked. He hesitated for a while. Sam just looked at him and nodded without replying. Philip took a deep breath and said, I want you to teach something for me. What would that be? Sam was surprised for a second and asked with an amusing smile. I want to become an artisan. I once wanted to try my luck with the artisan towerhead, but you came. What attracted me is the different techniques you are using. Different things you are making. And you can make things that are beyond what your cultivation rank allows. I want you to teach me how to become an artisan. Philip said as he let go of his hesitation. Why do you want to become an artisan? Sam asked as he looked at Philip with a faint smile. He really does know that there would be someone who wants his techniques. But he really didn't think that the first one to come after his techniques is the first friend he made after rebirth. Even though they aren't that close, he really didn't have any bad impression of Philip. But there is one thing that bothers him is that Philip is not as simple as he portrayed himself to be. There is definitely a veil of mystery. Philip thought deep and hard about the question Sam asked him. He understood that Sam felt something was off about him, but he didn't really bother as he himself made it known to Sam by unsealing his cultivation. Because, I like to create something. Philip finally came up with an answer. Make yourself clear. You want to make something or create something? Sam asked again. What is the difference? Philip was left confused. Isn't it same in both cases? He inwardly thought as he asked. Even though the meaning of both words is same, in real life they are different. That difference is also so thin like a cicada wing, but making a large variation between a maker and a creator. If you want to make something, all you need is to know is the answer for a question how. For whatever you want to make. Creation is different. You need to know answers of more questions other than how. You have to know the answer for why. And what. Also. Speaking up to this point, Sam looked at Philip who was confused and pondering. If you have clarity on what I asked, meet me again and ask. As I am your friend, I will teach you. But there will be certain price to pay. Then he walked towards his room leaving Philip alone to think things over. At night. Evergreen Pavilion. The place is filled with people as guests are streaming in. The monthly auction is going to take place after all. Sam and his friends are already inside the private room. They sat before us there looking at the guests filling the auction house. The attendants of the Evergreen family are greeting everyone as they guided them to the seats. Soon, the auction house is filled up, and only private rooms are yet to be filled. All the spectators are waiting for the auction to start. Soon, the crowd fell into an uproar as they saw who was coming to the auction house. The head of the Crimson Flame family head could be seen. They were shocked beyond belief. Even though the monthly auction is a grand event and the other noble families also had to show some face to the Evergreen family, but the head of the families would never come to the monthly auction, only they would come to the yearly auction. But now, the Crimson Flame family head has come to the auction this time, and everyone felt that there is something special in the auction this time. The Crimson Flame family head was greeted by the Evergreen family head, and then made his way to the private room reserved for his family. He looked at the private room Sam previously sat in and felt reassured that the room was occupied. Soon, when audience were about to come out of their shocked states, the people from the other families arrived. And the situation is same as the Crimson Flame family and their heads also arrived. Even City Lord and the Tower heads also arrived at the auction. The spectators were totally convinced that there is definitely some special item in today's auction. Even though their thoughts are correct, they don't know that all the big shots have varying reasons for that. Crimson Flame family head came to make it up for the past. The rest of the family heads and City Lord on the other hand, thought that the Crimson Flame family head has sniffed something valuable in the auction, that he needs to come to the auction personally. So, they didn't want to miss out on the treasure and made their way here. As for the Tower heads, they only came because they want to see what Sam had put in the auction. Soon, auction began. The beautiful elder sister of Philip is still the auctioneer. She enthusiastically started auctioning the items one by one. The finale came. Now, the auction has come to the finale. This time I won't explain or describe the product. You can see the demonstration yourselves. Eva said with an alluring smile and left the stage. Crimson Flame family head also knew the time has come. Even though he didn't know initially what item Sam is going to sell, he pulled some strings and finally got the answer. The item is the finale. He immediately became attentive. Although he prepared to bid whatever the item is, he still wants to see what kind of item did Sam has to sell in the auction, and that too worthy of finale. Everyone immediately became serious and watched the stage. Then an acolyte mage came to the stage wearing the red robe. This is precisely the robe that Sam wore this afternoon while demonstrating the product. Then another acolyte and a novice entered the stage, and demonstration has proceeded in the same way as Sam did in the afternoon. The guests are already in awe of the robe. Even though the armors will do, if opponent is really too powerful, he will definitely deal a major damage. So, they will have to maintain high quality armors which are costly but clearly not good looking either, and might even look bulky. But when they saw the exquisite robe, they were completely thrilled of its capabilities. Just as they thought that the demonstration is over, another 6 people with almost same attire entered the stage, and this time a middle stage novice also entered as their opponent. This time the crowd became even more shocked to see. There are only 7 acolyte, and the opponent is a novice. They can't possibly deal with him. Or so they thought. When the novice made a move, the 7 people also made their move at the same time. One of them went directly to the opponent head-on, while the remaining 6 people surrounded in and took a certain position. Suddenly, the robes of them started glowing and a binding formation appeared, stopping the movements of the novice for a split second, in which he was dealt with a blow from the remaining 7th person. They then immediately took a step back and immediately took another battle formation, as novice attacked them. Their robes glowed dimly again, and then a barrier appeared fending the attack off. This is a pure defensive formation. Finally, they took another position, and this time their robes glowed brighter, and as the energy of the 6 people gathered towards the center person as a huge fireball appeared. The fireball immediately shot towards the novice, almost getting him off the stage. The demonstration was finished. But the audience were completely dumbstruck and were still in daze. They understood the first 2 formations, but they didn't understand the third attack at all. Even the big shots like family heads and tower heads didn't understand. Of course, how could they understand? It is the result of Sam's continuous research and experiments. The robe set is filled with various inscriptions he created. He used the inscriptions he modified by the experiment, and then used them as the energy nodes, by the position of the members of the squad, creating the instantaneous formations. As for the third attack, it is combination of the formation and the attack inscription. Basically, there are both consumable and permanent inscriptions that are inscribed. But the attack inscriptions are almost all consumable. So, Sam used his understanding of the behavior of the runes, and combined the formation knowledge he had, and created the last attack, which can deal a blow even to a middle stage novice. The energy of all the 6 will be condensed towards the 7th one where it converts into the fire-type energy and form a fireball. All the noble family heads and even city lord feel completely determined. They should obtain these robes. If they could train a batch of these acolytes specially, they can be of great advantage. Even though there seem to be quite a few numbers of novices in the city. Everyone knew that the fighting force of the city or even nobles are mainly dependent on acolytes. This is backward place after all. So, they were quite determined to get this. Eva came back to the stage, and a set of the 7 robes was neatly displayed on the mannequins. Sam made 2 sets of fire and ice type. So, the Evergreen family reached an agreement to get 1 set on each type. So, the other 2 sets will be displayed. As soon as they saw the robes, they just wanted to snatch them away. They saw a notebook was also displayed along with the robes and felt confused. Then Eva came to the stage. Dear guests, this is the set created by the special guest, and is provided with a notebook filled with instructions on how to use it properly. The starting bid of the set is 50,000 spirit stones. The minimum increment will be of 5,000 spirit stones. As soon as she finished, the audience became agitated and then started bidding. 50,000, 55,000, 65,000, 70,000, 85,000. Some rich merchants started bidding. Even though they are not that rich, if they could fork out some money, they can sell it to a higher city, and can make some profit out of it, and thus they're trying their luck. 120,000. Suddenly a voice silenced everyone. The city lord bid his price, and the merchants came to their senses. The noble families still have to bid. Soon, they started bidding. 125,000, 135,000, 140,000. All the noble families started competing, but there is still someone who is silent. It is the Crimson Flame family head. That didn't mean he is giving up. But he is even more determined since he knew who the seller is, and he has come especially for that. He is merely waiting for time. 200,000. Finally the bid came to this, and it is still the city lord. Everybody became silent. They didn't want to pay more than that. Eva looked around, and just as she was about to announce, another bid came. 250,000, this is Crimson Flame family head. He raised the bid by 50,000, making even City Lord grit his teeth and stayed silent. He didn't expect that there is still competition. 250,000. Once, twice and sold. Eva confirmed the purchase, and a lot of people were extremely disappointed. There are only two people who were grinning. They were Sam and the Crimson Flame family head. One for the money and the other for resolving the grudges. Just as the auction house was silent and gloomy, another set of blue-collar robes came, making all the other noble families to see hope. They immediately became alert and started bidding. This time Crimson Flame family had completely stayed out of situation, and then the price of the robes reached the same 250,000, and this time the City Lord really bid it, as their family has many ice-type acolytes. The remaining noble families felt indignant, and they pulled strings to get their hands on the maker of the robe set. But the Evergreen Pavilion gave them the answer. They immediately dismissed the ideas. They clearly understood why Crimson Flame family had came and bid so much, even going against the City Lord. He is not only after the product, he is also resolving the grudges. They understood it because they clearly knew about his visit to Sam. They immediately connected the dots and regretted not paying the visit themselves to come to an agreement. But it was too late. Sam was grinning ear to ear in his private room. Philip said from the side, "Sam, you are filthy rich. The noble families you have sold had been sucked dry, and your money now can be equal to half of the savings of a noble family. We should squeeze out some benefits from you. Yes, I heard that you gave gifts to the girls. How is that fair? You can't be that biased. Why did you give some gifts to?" Marvin said from the side. "Don't involve our dresses in this. Marvin, do you have any shame? You can even be petty at that. If you try using my dress as leverage, I will beat you up. Moreover, we paid for it." Freya immediately lost her cool. This time even Haley didn't stop her. HMPH. "Freya, how can be so shameless? You can even call that payment. Did you see the demo earlier? Ordinary robes can be so formidable, if made by Sam, and I heard from Philip that the dresses are 10 times more exquisite than the robes, and from Sam's character, he would have made even more formidable tricks to them. Yet, you can shamelessly say that you paid for that by just giving 10 spirit stones. You might as well not pay it. Are you really from a noble family?" Marvin immediately shot back. "Alright, you guys better stay silent. I will also sell you something later. Don't be irritating," Sam said as he saw a situation going out of hand as they're starting to argue. He is almost regretting not selling something to Marvin and others. He almost judged their act by his standards, and forgot that unlike him, they were actual teenagers. Sam went back to his mansion with his huge sum of money. Out of 500,000 spirit stones from the auctioning the two sets, he got 475,000 spirit stones, and the rest was the auction commission. Other than that, he got 350,000 stones from selling the other two sets to the Evergreen family. When he received the large amount of spirit stones, he felt so happy that he can't get rid of the grin on his face. He walked to his mansion gleefully and slept peacefully on his bed. But right now, the people who bought the sets are completely sleepless. After all, they just saw a new creation which would help their elite acolyte subordinates and increase the efficiency of the team. So, they really are sleepless, and so are their subordinates. At Crimson Flame family, the family head and another elder are sitting in a private room. There is no other person in the room, and they are looking at the robe sets as they were thinking about something. "Are you sure you don't want me to take a look?" the other elder asked with a solemn expression. He is an inscription master of the Crimson Flame family. Even though he is at novice stage, he is only at the rank 1 inscription master stage. Because it is not that easy to become an inscription master, much less promote the rank further. Because the energy levels and control required for becoming an inscription master or any other professional is not that low. That is the reason many people will get their rank 1 examination only at the late stages of the acolyte. The inscription master is looking at the robes with obvious excitement and greed. He really wants to see how a young brat has used the inscriptions to make a robe this powerful. That is the reason he came to meet the family head as soon as they came back to the house. If he could study and observe and even better duplicate the robe, he might improve his skills as well as make a lot of money. The family head, however, is completely oblivious to the thoughts of the inscription master before him. He held a note passed over by his daughter, Freya, in his hand. There is a confused expression as well as hesitation written all over his face. Meanwhile, somewhere else there is another person who is not as hesitant as him. A city lord is soon as currently in a private room in a city lord mansion, along with another two people, who will be recognized by Sam easily as they just got acquainted today. They are Falter and Felix. They both sat down across the table, and on the other side, the city lord is looking at them seriously and asked again, "Are two of you confident that you can replicate it, if you examine them?" he asked with a solemn expression. But the greed in his eyes cannot be hidden at all. The two tower heads looked at each other, and Felix said with a confident expression, "Even though he might be a genius, he is after all inexperienced. I think we both can understand the concept behind the manufacturing process once we examine it." "Okay, then. You can take a look." The city lord agreed, and then he took out the 7 robes, which are icy blue in color, on the table. Felix and Falter both took each and started examining them. They touched the cloth and didn't even know what material it was, but they left the thought and searched for the inscriptions all over the robe, without leaving a single corner. But they didn't find it, which made them frown in displeasure. After examining for some time, they finally found something odd. There is an inner lining to the robe. When they saw this, they immediately rejoiced and tried to probe with their spiritual sense, only to be blocked. "I will try another way," Felix said, and tried to infuse the spiritual energy directly into the robe to observe carefully. But before he could observe anything, the inscriptions directly activated and he felt helpless for a second. "How about we directly cut open the lining?" Falter suggested, and both of them looked at City Lord asking for his approval. City Lord felt quite conflicted by their suggestion. After all, it is not cheap. He pondered for a bit and then finally he decided, "You can do whatever you want, but make sure that you can reproduce them." Felix nodded, and then with a wave of his hand a wind blade appeared and cut open the lining inside the robe. Just as the three were about to rejoice, a completely unexpected thing happened. Blazing flames started to emerge from the tier as they started burning the robe instantly. Before they could react, all the robe left was a piece of rag, and remaining turned into ashes. They didn't even have time to respond as they looked. The 3 of them stared dumbstruck, not knowing what happened. Felix was the first one to come to the senses and picked up the rag as he said, "This brat sure is sly. He set up a trap. If anyone tries to pry into the process, they would completely lose the product." His face was a little gloomy as he spoke. Then he looked at the rag cloth and was stunned. By this time, the city lord slumped back into the chair as he looked at rag in Felix's hands, and when he directed his gaze to Felix to howl out the curses, he was confused by the latter's expression. Soon, the expression on Felix's face turned into that of shame and anger and finally rage. He just wanted to blow his top, but couldn't find an outlet. Falter saw his face and also felt quite puzzled. He took the rag and saw it. He also felt like vomiting his blood in anger. Looking at the toe big shots getting angry even after destroying his expensive robe, City Lord just snatched the rag from Falter's hand, saw a string of letter on it. "You want to copy my creations with your measly abilities? Not any dog shit expert can do that. You're a lifetime too early to do it." When he saw the words, he also became embarrassed and angry. He is after all a city lord, and even though the other party didn't know he was scolding him, reading the words, he still felt like he was humiliated. He just wanted to go to Sam's mansion and give him a beating. But upon remembering the other party's status, he immediately lost all the thoughts and stayed put as he slumped in the chair. He regretted doing this now as he looked at the remaining 6 robes, which had their value depreciated greatly due to loss of 1 robe of the set. In Crimson Flame Family Mansion, the inscription master left the private room angrily and stomped away in fury. Inside the room, the family head is still sitting in the same place as he looked at the note, which has words. "If you don't want to suffer any losses, you better not mess with robes, or you will regret it, Sam." This is the note passed to him by Freya. He looked at the 7 robes on the table and sighed as he muttered, "I hope I made the right decision." Sam woke up early the next day. He made a visit to the academy and met with the principal. "I heard that you made a big haul in yesterday's auction," Principal asked as soon as he saw Sam. So Sam replied nonchalantly as he took a seat. Hearing his reply, the principal gritted his teeth in anger. If not for the fact that he was considering his image as an elder, he really wanted to drown Sam in curses. "Why did you come?" Principal forced himself to calm down and ask, "When are we leaving exactly, and how many days it will take us to reach the Falcon Cliff City?" Sam asked without bothering about other parties' expressions. "We will leave in 6 days' time. I am going to conduct an assessment for all the students to choose. There are 10 spots in total. Even though it would be difficult to select them, I came up with a plan to pick them carefully. 1 spot is already fixed for you, and there are only 9 spots left. I will inform you after the team is selected. It will take a week to travel in a horse carriage. If we travel on the beasts, we can make it shorter though. What do you think?" "What do you mean by that?" Sam asked as he raised an eyebrow. "I heard that you have 2 beast pets at level 2 middle stage," Principal said with a smile. "So?" Sam asked, acting dumb. Seeing this, Principal got irritated and spoke. "If you can help with the transport, we can reach there earlier." "Why should I help?" This is the only reply he got for his blunt request. "You are coming with us too." "What is wrong with transporting us?" Principal said, a bit enraged. This brat. Why is so difficult to get a small favor from him? He thought inwardly. Of course, there is nothing wrong. But they are mine. Why should I give you guys a free ride? Sam asked as he ignored the anger of Principal. I am already giving you a free pass. Can't you just give us a ride? Why is it that you can't bear to do that? If you don't give us a ride, I am not letting you off easily. You are so rich and still want to fleece me for a ride. Principal stood up and pointed a finger at Sam as he spoke. Fine. I will let you take advantage of me for this one time. Sam conceded. He stood up, and just as he was making his way to the door, he heard Principal speaking. If you want, you can bring 1 or 2 followers with you. It is for giving us a ride, and I am providing a special privilege to you. Sam just acknowledged silently and walked back to his mansion. At the riverside sat along with the panthers, which are munching on some deer-like beast, and was deep in thought about his past life. Apart from Stella, he missed 3 things mainly: his wristwatch, his motorbike, and his flute. Then he thought about the claws he used to fight with. At first, he thought of using the golden blood tiger claws to make a set for himself. But he got the news of the availability of the meteorite sand, and that 2 of various types. That is why he stopped himself. After all, the better the material and the better the possibilities. He sighed as he looked at the bare left hand without any wristwatch. Right now, I don't want to make these things with a low-rank material. I might as well wait to get my hands on the meteorite sand. Meanwhile, I better figure out a way to solve the problem of the engine and its fuel. He muttered as he looked at the river. Even though he can make a steam engine easily, he really has no interest in making one. After all, even though the steam engine is one of the turning points of the technology back on Earth, for Sam right now, they are nothing but money makers, which he didn't lack much. He just wants to make something that he has other uses. He fell deep into thought and finally came to a conclusion. Let us first think of a way to make some fuel. Then, I can create an engine according to that. Anyway, I need to get a bike as soon as I can. I really miss the feeling of riding. He spoke as he stood up and stretched his body lazily. Next day, the principal of the Starwood Academy is in an extremely good mood as he felt that he got one over the money-grubbing brat Sam. That is why he is full of smiles since morning as he attended his duties. But this smile didn't last when he met 2 people waiting at his office for him. He furrowed his brows as he recognized them as an artisan and his assistant who runs a business in the city. He is good at making carriages, and all the carriages in the noble families and merchants are made by him. When Principal saw him, he was quite puzzled. He invited them into the office and asked them, "Why do you want to see me?" "Sir, I am here to collect payment for an order." The man who seemed to be the boss said in a low voice. "Payment? I don't remember having made any deal with you, and even the academy doesn't have business. Are you here by mistake?" Principal grew more and more confused. "No, sir. If you look at this, you will understand," he said as he passed over a letter to the principal, which he took and read. As soon as the principal read the content, he immediately became enraged and wanted to punch someone in the face. But he forced himself to calm down and looked at the boss in front of him and asked, "Did this happen yesterday?" "Yes, sir," the boss said. Even though he is an artisan, he is merely a rank 1, and doesn't have much status as his skills were low. That is why he started using his knowledge to make the carriages instead of weapons. He was nervous when that person came to his shop yesterday and placed an order on behalf of the principal's name. But he quickly dismissed the thoughts as he knew that a person of that status doesn't need to bother to make him go against the principal to deal with him. That is why he became more confident and came to look for the principal to foot the bill. But looking at the principal's expressions, he is starting to doubt his decision. Principal suddenly heaved a sigh and looked away from the letter and asked, "How much is the bill?" 5,000 spirit stones. The person said, slowly, looking at the principal's expression, and as expected, he saw the principal's expression turn dark and ugly, and he immediately explained himself. "Sir, he gave us a special order and the design himself, including the materials to be used. If you want, you can take a look at it." Boss passed over a huge scroll. Principal looked at the exquisite sketches and the designs of various components and became impressed, but when he looked at the list of the materials needed, he almost puked blood and rage. He held back his anger and returned the scroll for the boss, and finished the payment along with. Boss left the academy happily. After making sure that nobody is around, Principal immediately roared in rage as tore down the letter. He became so enraged at the content of the letter. The words are written like this. "Honorable Principal, yesterday when we discussed the travel arrangements, you only mentioned about the beasts of mine, and forgot to mention about the carriage. So, as a humble student, I took it up on myself and ordered a specially made carriage for our team, and I am writing this to remind you complete the payment. You don't need to thank me, as it is my responsibility to help you do these minor tasks. Sam." Principal immediately understood Sam's intention of getting himself a new carriage under the expense of him. But he can't lose face and get embarrassed by exposing the truth. Because, if he exposed the truth, he has to action against Sam for blatantly using the principal's name, which he obviously unable to do. That is why he can only curse in his heart. Just when he thought he took advantage of that brat, he made him lose another 5,000 spirit stones. Meanwhile at the riverside mansion, Sam just came out of the river after taking a swim and started walking towards the mansion. 2 panthers also followed him along, playfully jumping around. Even though they are big now, they are playing like kids. Sam dried himself normally without use of any spiritual energy. He tried his best to live like a normal human whenever he can, and taking bath and having sleep, and even taking the meals regularly, is for the same reason. After he changed into a new dress, he went to a room where a large table is there, and a scroll is fixed over on it. Sam looked at the half-finished design and was in deep contemplation. He moved towards another small table at the side, which is filled with all sorts of calculations and writings. He is trying to design the things he missed. The calculations are for making a wristwatch, and he is designing them on the scroll. After that he has to think of ways to make use of the resources to run a motored vehicle. In fact, he wanted to make an engine full of inscriptions to convert the spiritual energy and the spiritual stones to the shaft power required. But he immediately rejected the idea because this will make use of the complex inscriptions and high-level skills and experimentations on them, which are restricted by his cultivation level. That is the reason he rejected the thought, and another reason is that this world doesn't have something like patent, and if a high-ranked inscription master gets hold of this, it will make his effort go to waste as they can easily imitate it. But if he were to use a new type of fuel and an engine with a similar and complicated mechanism to the modern world engine, and make some tweaks with very delicate components, he can make sure they can produce a working model, even if they get hold of the mechanism, and that is the reason he doesn't want to make use of simple spirit stone powered engine. But he is still in contemplation over what type of fuel he should make, and if he can proceed with his initial thoughts. He then looked at the design again, and started drawing the remaining components of the watch. He is slow and steady as he took his own sweet time, because even if he can design this faster, he cannot make the watch, because of the lack of materials, as he included various meteorite sands in his design. He just kept on drawing as he is trying to make himself busy. Because, lately Sam is feeling a little bloated and unable to be at ease. The cause of this is the overflowing spiritual energy within him. He is at the limit of his level acolyte, but he can't break through easily because he needs to exchange energy with his contract beasts. Even though at later stages, he can break through directly, at his current level of cultivation level, he can't do this because at the foundation levels of cultivation, he has to increase along with beasts, so that he can have maximum efficiency. That is why he completely let go of anything that is related to spiritual energy, and just concentrated on his designing of his new components. This went on and on as he maintained his daily routine like a normal engineer from Earth, and worked on his designs slowly. But the rest of his city is not at all boring as Sam's life. The principal announced the city about the selection tournament, and the noble families became excited as their speculations became correct. They all are filled with hopes that their geniuses would be selected, as the criterion for the selection is the potential rather than the cultivation level, and are making their plans to make their children perform better. All the noble families attended the assessment test, which will be going on for 3 days straight. All the students were excited to try their best to get into the team. When they heard that they have only 9 spots, they felt a little disappointed, and more than half of the students just dropped out of the competition, but some of them felt weird as they thought that selection of 9 members is a bit odd. All the assessments were taking place inside the test grounds, and the assessment this time is not fight against students, but rather there are a number of trials to assess their potential in various aspects. But Sam was oblivious to this as he was in between in a pile of paper scrolls, and continued to do his work. Soon, the assessments are over and there are only 2 days left before they can start their journey to the Falcon Cliff City, and Sam finally got a message from the principal to meet the rest of the teammates to get along before going to the competition. Sam also needs to visit the Evergreen family to take back the Blazing Earth Bulls, so he made a trip to the academy first. When he reached the academy, a senior student received him and then led him to a room which already has 10 people waiting for him. When he entered the room, he saw principal addressing the 9 people sitting in front of him, and felt a little surprised as he saw a few familiar faces there. Philip, Freya, Haley, Kelly, Jack are sitting along with another 4 people. He didn't recognize the other people. But the one with the big surprise is not him but the others in the room. They all felt weird at first when they noticed that the overpowered freshman, Sam, didn't participate in the assessment, and now that they saw him here, they were shocked. So, he is already in the team. All of them thought and understood the odd selection 9 members, because the 10th member is already decided. Between those surprised gazes there is one with some disdain. Sam came out of his stupor and walked towards the principal. "Hello, sir." He greeted him with a nonchalant face. The rest of the people also came out of their stupor and looked at Sam. "Hello, Sam, take your seat," he said as he pointed at the seat. Sam nodded and took a seat without greeting anyone else. He just gave his friends a look before turning to look at the principal. "Now that all the participants are here, I will say a few words. We will be going to the Falcon Cliff City day after tomorrow. The 10 of you are going to represent the Starwood City in the tournament that is going to be conducted by the Count himself. There will be teams from the other cities under the jurisdiction of the Count, and people from the Falcon Cliff City will also participate in it. I can't tell you what the rewards are, but the tests would be on various aspects, and the winners will get the recognition and rewards beyond imagination. I hope you guys will prepare well and work hard in representing our city in the academy. Principal spoke as he looked at the 10 participants. Sir, how many days is the tournament going to be conducted? Philip asked as he raised his hand. I am not quite sure, but you will know after we reach there. I and City Lord are going to accompany you all. Eisen, you are going to be in charge of the team. Principal said as he looked at a person, and that guy stood up. He is the one who looked at Sam in disdain. Sam saw the 3 stars on his chest. He seems to be at the initial stage novice. Sir, do you mean that I am the leader of the team? Eisen asked as he looked straight at the principal. The latter nodded. I have an objection regarding the team, he said with an arrogant tone. Principal raised his eyebrow as he looked at Eisen. What would that be? Principal asked in a low voice. I don't want someone who used their status to get into the team through the back door. This will not do justice for the team members at all, Eisen said as he looked at Principal straight in the eyes without noticing the change of expressions on other members. But everyone could understand that he is talking about Sam, and then all of them looked towards him. They wanted to see how Sam would react to that, but all they could see was a cold, emotionless and nonchalant face without any reaction. Then they heard the reaction from another person. So, Eisen, you mean the principal of this academy, me as a person who is influenced by the people's status and opened the back door without considering their capability? Principal asked as his voice sounded a little colder. Eisen was dumbfounded for a moment when he heard this. He really dared not agree to what Principal said. How could he agree the principal is a person without morals? That would be courting death. Even if he really felt that, he wouldn't dare to say that. No sir. I mean that someone might have used their status to threaten. He started in a FL.S turd tone, and was interrupted by the principal. Enough. I am not going to ask your opinions, nor do I care. You are only a leader of team because of the cultivation level. Don't think that you have some say in the team members' selection simply because I gave you the position. You better keep your mouth shut. Everyone, you guys can leave. Meet me at the academy gate at morning in the day after tomorrow. You are dismissed. After the meeting is ended, Sam walked out of the academy and started walking towards his mansion. But some people stopped him on his way, and the person in the lead happened to be Eisen. Sam didn't speak and just looked at Eisen with a cold gaze as he raised an eyebrow as if questioning him of the purpose. For some reason Eisen got irritated looking at Sam's nonchalance, and said in an arrogant tone, You better withdraw from the team. He just made a statement as if he was ordering his subordinate, as he looked down with his height 2 inches taller than Sam. There are 2 people behind Eisen, and one of them is part of the team, and another one who seemed to resemble Eisen a bit, looked at Sam with a gloating smile. Sam didn't reply anything and just walked around the group staying completely silent. Wait, Sam. 2 shouts came at the same time, and one of them is Eisen, and another one is surprisingly Jack, who is running towards them. When Sam looked at Jack and didn't even bother with Eisen, he became angry. Because he felt that his pride got hurt. He is the champion for the assessment and senior in the academy, and most of all his cultivation level is higher. So, a junior and one without any test is really a thorn in his eyes. Let's speak in the mansion, Sam said to Jack as the latter nodded, and both of them started walking. Seeing the blatant disregard from both of them made Eisen grit his teeth in rage. Sam, do you think you are a big shot? I am also an inscription master and a formation master, and my father is the head of the formation tower. Even if you have more titles than me, then what of it? I heard that you don't even have a teacher and you are self-taught. How far do you think you can go? You better stop being arrogant and humble. In front of me you are nothing, he said as he released his aura of a novice stage. Sam didn't even bother with his words and just kept on walking, but Jack stopped in his tracks and looked at Eisen with a cold glare full of hostility. So, he also had to stop and turned around and patted Jack on shoulder. I don't have time to sniff every piece of shit that is on my way. We can just walk around and ignore it, he said and pulled Jack along as he started walking. Eisen and the 2 people behind him immediately had ugly expressions, and Eisen had it worst as he saw people looking at him in a weird way. He was about to blow up, but then he remembered that he is near the academy in the heart of the city. So, he forced himself to calm down, and gave Sam's retreating back a hateful glare before leaving the place. After some time, at Sam's mansion, both Sam and Jack were sitting across each other in the living room. Sam has same nonchalant expression on his face, but the coldness toned down a little. Jack seemed to be hesitating about something. Are you going to speak or not? Sam asked as he looked at Jack. I need a favor, Jack said slowly, an expression of unwillingness on his face. Sam didn't speak and just gave a questioning look and maintained his silence. Looking at him, Jack just took a deep breath and continued. I know you don't like doing favors, but I don't have any other choice. You have any way to take Sean along with us to Falcon Cliff City? He didn't pass the test. Why did you want him to come? Sam asked. It has something to do with Eisen. Before the final round of the examination, he and his two underlings jumped on me and Sean to get the spots. But their plan partially failed and I was able to make it safe, but Sean wasn't that lucky as he took the first attack in full force. He wasn't even able to participate in the final round. Jack explained. So, Eisen is telling me to back off because he wants another spot, and he thinks I am an easy target, since I don't have any background. Sam muttered to himself. Then he spoke to Jack. Even if I can get Sam to join us in Journey, how's it going to help? He can't join the team, right? Sam asked in reply. Accidents happen. Jack replied with a cold tone. Sure, just bring him along with you. Sam smiled and agreed. Jack immediately became relieved and left after he thanked him. Sam just walked to the rooms and started making the preparations to leave the city. He collected all his design scrolls, his tailoring tools and some small forging equipment. He asked Philip to search for a buyer for the mansion and to his surprise, the Evergreen family itself bought the mansion for half the price he bought it in the auction. Right now, he has a total of 825,000 spirit stones he earned from the auction, and he has a 2,000 fire element spirit stones still left after his, Yanwu's and Panther's consumption. Along with the 15,000 spirit stones he got from selling the mansion and the 100,000 spirit stones he got from the deal with the principal, his total net worth is 850,000 spirit stones approximately, which made him feel a little satisfied. This habit of being satisfied of the money he earned himself is from his past life. Even though Sam is famous for his intelligence and abilities the most, the other trait that most people knew about him is his extravagance. He likes spending money and making money. He has a lot of materialistic needs, and reckless spending made all the second-generation heirs burn with jealousy. He doesn't know exactly why he got this habit, but he knew that had something to do with his childhood poverty. Even after rebirth, Sam still has same materialistic love, and he didn't have any thoughts of getting rid of it. The day of the departure finally came and Sam left the mansion early in the morning and started walking to the academy gate. When he reached, there are already some people waiting there. There's a big carriage made of the top-grade quality starwood and some other rank 1 metals. The carriage is completely black in color, and it looked mostly like a modern-day caravan of celebrities, and in fact Sam actually designed it to be such. It has everything that a caravan should have except the engine and the driver compartment, which gave him an extended space. At the front of the caravan are 2 blazing earth bulls attached just like how the horses would be. Sam ignored the people that are waiting, walked towards the 2 bulls and patted their heads, for which they rubbed their heads in a docile manner against his palm. The other people who are appreciating the large carriage with interest are stunned when they saw the scene. Sam owning these 2 beasts is not a matter which is known by many people, so when the other students saw this, they were stunned. After all, beast taming is not a common or easy thing to do. Sam didn't care anything and just examined the bulls. They grew, not only in size but also in their level. Before he came to this city, they were at middle stage of level 2, and now they are late stage of level 2. He wondered how the Evergreen family took care of them. Sam then looked at the other students, who are chatting. There are 3 people here and 2 of them are the people who are part of the team, and other person seemed to be their person. The extra person is a boy who wore a Starwood Academy uniform. The 2 team members are a boy and a girl, who is the 4th and last girl other than Kelly, Freya and Haley. They are giving Sam some side glances as they whispered among themselves. Soon, people started arriving. Philip, Freya, Haley came together and greeted Sam, and Kelly arrived a bit later, and she greeted him in low voice and started chatting with them. Of course, except with Sam. She is still a bit afraid. After a few moments, Jack came along with Sean. Sam, thank you so much. Sean spoke as soon as he appeared. His face is still a bit pale, an obvious sign of him recovering from his injuries. Sam just smiled without giving any response. What is this about? Freya, being Freya, asked directly while the rest of their group are becoming a little curious. After all, one of the top rankers in the entrance examination, Sean is somewhat familiar to them, and they knew that he had some partnership with Sam at the entrance examination. They were first surprised that Sean was unable to make the team, and now him thanking Sam directly out of blue is making them curious. Nothing much. Sam said that I can come with you guys to the Falcon Cliff City. Even though I might not have a chance to participate in the tournament, I can cheer you guys and broaden my horizons. Sean said with his signature grin. Who said you can tag along? Did you ask for my permission at all? Suddenly a voice interrupted him from behind, attracting the group's attention, and they saw Eisen along with the 2 people that stopped Sam yesterday. I am the team leader. Did you ask my permission to bring someone? Eisen asked directly, walking towards Sam with an arrogant gaze. He is 18 years old, and he is naturally a bit taller than Sam, so he wanted to intimidate him with his stature and his cultivation. But all he got in response was a nonchalant expression. Nobody reacted to his statement, and everyone seemed to deliberately ignoring him and Sam's group, and they are just carrying with their chat, as if he was not there at all. Situation suddenly became awkward for him, and his face turned red with embarrassment and anger, and just as he was about to blow his top. Seems that everyone is here. Principal's voice came, and along with Principal another person also followed him, which surprised everyone, and that person is none other than the City Lord of the Starwood City. Everyone started to bow and greet him. Greetings, City Lord. Greetings, City Lord. Greetings, City Lord. Greetings, City Lord. But there's always an exception, and that is Sam didn't even take a second look at him. He didn't bother with them at all, and just walked towards the carriage door, which is in the middle, and opened the door. Seeing this, everyone thought, he is going to open it for City Lord. But they couldn't be more wrong, as Sam directly walked in after he opened the door, leaving them stupefied. Before they could come out of their stupor, they saw Sam protruding his head outside and saying, "Philip, Jack, Sean, ladies, come on board. What are you even waiting for?" He asked as if there are no other people here. Principal looked at Sam and cursed inside his heart. Sam looked at him and gave a provocative smirk. "You wanted to get a free ride, and you think I will just be okay with fleecing you with some money? I will make you grind your teeth to dust in embarrassment," Sam thought as he made his way inside. City Lord also stood there awkwardly in silence. He understood Sam's cold treatment. Who can he blame for that? Rest of the teammates are all surprised, not knowing how to react. Then suddenly a voice interrupted their thoughts. "Sam, you imbecile. How dare you disrespect the City Lord and Principal? Get down this instant and apologize." Eisen roared in rage as he stormed towards the carriage door. Eisen got nothing in response, but he felt a hand on his shoulder, and he turned to look and was about to lash out, only to see the principal, who just gave him a glare, and then looked at the remaining students and said, "Okay, don't waste your time. We are ready to leave. All of you get on board," he said, and walked towards the carriage, and the students followed inside. When they went in, they were amazed to see inside the carriage. The carriage is like a long rectangular room. On the one end there is the door. There are windows on both sides of the carriage which are made of glass and are now closed. But what amazed them the most is that there are no seats inside the carriage. Instead, there are protrusions on both walls which are in the height of their thighs. There seemed to be a small partition at the back of the carriage, creating a small room which is closed now. There is a big seat just before the room's partition, and is made of quite exquisite leather, and on both sides of the seat, there seem to be carpets of white fur shining. After everyone boarded the carriage, they all looked confused on where to sit. Sam walked towards the central seat and whistled loudly after he took a seat. Suddenly, two black shadows entered the carriage within a few moments and landed on the carpets on either side of Sam. They are the two panthers. Now Sam sat on a luxurious black leather seat with two black panthers on both sides resting on white fur. Compiled with his handsome features and sharp aura, everyone just stared at the scene. "Take a seat," Sam said to Philip as he gestured towards a protrusion nearest to him. Philip walked towards the protrusion and pulled it, and an exquisite leather seat appeared. The seats are like foldable chairs, but the upper half is directly linked to the walls, and the lower half is the only thing that can pull to open the seat. Philip smiled and took a seat and gestured to his friends, who along with other students were in daze to take a seat, which they followed. Soon, the students took seats one after another, including the City Lord and the Principal. The only thing is that the seats on the right side carriage wall are facing the seats on the left side carriage wall. One looked and we can easily say that the carriage is a complete personal carriage, and Sam took the host's seat, and the rest are his guests. All the people felt this, including the Principal and the City Lord. But even they shut their mouths silently and shook their heads with a wry smile. There are only 3 people still standing there, and they are Eisen and his 2 underlings. He gritted his teeth as he looked at Sam with a hateful glare. How can he not understand now that he saw this? The carriage is definitely Sam's and the beast's too. He is burning with envy as he looked at the Black Panthers on both sides of Sam acting docile and meek. "Principal, I heard that the trip is only for people in the team. Why do I see extra candidates here?" Sam asked without even turning his attention to others. Suddenly, 4 people tensed. They were Eisen and his 2 underlings, along with the extra friend of the other 2 participants. His friends also got nervous and were about to say something, but they were interrupted by Sam's voice again. "You can get down," Sam said as he pointed at the guy who looked similar to Eisen. This made Eisen angry. "You also brought an extra person, and they also have an extra person. What about them?" Eisen retorted as he turned red with anger. But Sam didn't even pay attention to him and picked on his nails and said, "Sean is my friend and carriage is mine. That guy is the one who came to assist in driving the carriage. Do you have a problem with that?" He looked at the extra person and his 2 friends, who smiled and nodded at him gratefully. Eisen was about to blow up when another voice came from outside. "Principal, sir. can we leave now? This is the voice of the carriage driver who was arranged by the principal, who gave a look at Sam and the extra guy behind Eisen. Eisen, tell him to get down, he said in a deep voice. Eisen looked at the city lord unwillingly, only to see the latter avoid his gaze. How much do you want? Eisen asked as he looked at Sam in a low voice. Don't talk money with me. You are not there yet, Sam said with nonchalant tone. Eisen was fuming in anger and released his spiritual energy, and ready to make a move any time, only to be interrupted by someone. Sir Sam. His father is a friend of mine. Can you please do me a favor and let him on board? I will definitely repay you, City Lord said an amicable smile. Sam didn't reply and just looked at him coldly without giving any reply. Then he turned his gaze towards Haley, who seemed to be struggling at her father's situation, and finally nodded. 1,500 spirit stones, he said in a low voice. Eisen gave a snort and tossed a leather bag, while City Lord sighed in relief. Sam took the bag and passed it to Sean and said, medical expenses. As soon as he said those words, Eisen lost color in his face. He didn't know until now that Jack has guessed it was them who jumped on them. Now that he knew that Sam also knew the info, he became afraid of the consequences. He sweated profusely as he looked at Sean and Jack as they looked at him with an extremely hostile gaze, as if they want to tear him apart. Slowly, the carriage moved and took the road towards the Falcon Cliff City. Sam looked outwards through the window as he stared at the scenery passing in a rapid speed, while wind is blowing against his face. All the people were engaged in a casual chat. At this pace, we will reach the city in 2 days at the latest. It would have been taken at least 5 days if we go by the best horses, Principal said out loud as he looked through the window on the opposite side. After all, the window near the seat is behind his head. We will stop for the night, Sam said as he looked at the window. Nobody responded. But Eisen said, it would delay the journey. Why would you want to stop? Sam didn't respond to the question but said something else. If I hear your voice in the carriage one more time, you can find your own transport. Eisen immediately burned in resentment, but didn't dare to say anything. He only looked at the principal and city lord, but they also behaved as if they didn't hear anything at all, making him even more furious. Journey continued smoothly as sunset and evening came. They halted near a riverbank to make a camp. Sam slowly walked towards the river and washed his face, and then he took out some leftover meat and tied it with a rope before he threw it in the river. The river flow is slow, and with the rope the meat stayed in place. Soon a school of fish surrounded the meat, and Sam immediately made his move as he rapidly threw one fish after another with his bare hands. A dozen or so fish are on the bank now. The fish are normal ones with less spiritual energy, so they were easy to catch. Sam made a fire and skewered the fish over the flame, and sat along with his friends around the fire. The rest didn't try to strike up the conversation with him. The night was serene. Sam laid down on the grass as he looked at the sky, as if trying to peer through the mystery of universe. When the cook's smell of fish came, he looked up and to his surprise, there are only 10 fish left, and rest were gone. He looked at the rest of the batch, and they were just chatting and seemed that they didn't eat at all. He walked towards the flame and took the fish from the skewer, and then placed them on the makeshift plates made of the leaves. He arranged one fish in each plate and kept the remaining 2 back on the flame, but this time the distance is a bit large. He gave them to his friends, but this time his concentration is completely on the remaining 3 fish. The rest of them didn't see anything different as they enjoyed their time. He sat down near the flame and just looked at the fish even while eating. A black shadow passed by and at the same time Sam moved along with the fish that disappeared. He followed the black shadow towards the woods. His abrupt actions made everyone alert, and just when Jack was about to make his move and follow him, Principal stopped him and said, he is not irrational. If he doesn't come early, I will go and find him, he said while he looked at the direction Sam left. Eisen is also looking at the same way, but his thoughts are entirely different. He is expecting Sam to have some accident. After all, the forest is most dangerous when it is night. Sam, meanwhile, didn't care about what others are thinking. He is running with all his might, chasing the small black shadow, which is moving at an extremely fast pace as if it is part of the darkness itself. Sam leapt towards it and finally caught it as he rolled over the ground and crashed into a tree upside down. He immediately got up and saw around and heaved a sigh, after finding out that there is no one else around here, and didn't see his embarrassing situation. Squeak squeak a sound came as in his hands, and when he saw a purplish black looking mouse which is 3 times larger than the normal mouse. Shadow mouse, Sam muttered as soon as he saw it as his eyes widened in shock. He was almost felt like he was hit by lightning, because the species of the mouse should be extinct, or that was what written in the bestiary. He is looking at the mouse as his grip unconsciously tightened on it. Squeak squeak, leave me alone, I will die, a voice echoed in his mind. Sam came to his senses and looked at the mouse and released his aura of the golden sun crow. The mouse immediately shivered as it stopped the sounds. Sam then started observing the mouse completely by infusing the spiritual energy, and then he became surprised again. This is not a shadow mouse with purest bloodline. The bloodline has various impurities. He thought inwardly. The way of inspecting the bloodline is from the bloodline evolution and refinement he Ling Tian gave him. Squeak squeak, who are you? The little mouse's voice came to his mind again, and Sam looked at it and spoke. Where is your tribe? He asked as he looked at the mouse. This is mouse at level 2 initial stage, but it is still as fast as him. Of course, this is mostly dependent on the fact that this is nighttime. Squeak squeak, there are only 10 people left. All are dead. We used to live in another part of the forest, and a snake-like beast attacked us. Only 10 of us were able to escape. The voice was low and funny to hear. But Sam didn't care about it and looked at the mouse, as if he wanted to peer through his secrets. For some reason, the mouse became scared at Sam's look. Didn't know why it said so much, but it knew that all the info just came out, as if it was the only right thing to do based on the instinct. Sam looked at the mouse before thinking and said, "Lead me to your place." He said, and a man and mouse walked to a place where a huge tree and a burrow at its roots. Soon there are precisely 10 mice in total as they looked at Sam with fearful expressions. The shadow mice is a species with almost no combat strength, but they have a special bloodline ability which can make them move very stealthily in dark, and they can move by merging with shadows. If not for the fact that the mouse chose to steal the fish openly, even with his acute senses, Sam wouldn't be able to catch its presence. Your tribe is almost extinct and you are the last 10 which were left alive. Your bloodline is full of impurities. I will give you an offer. I will evolve and purify your bloodline, and you don't have to live in fear at all. I will provide you with the food you need. All you have to do is follow my instructions. Sam said as he increased the primordial lore of the golden sun crows, which is obviously higher grade than shadow mice. Actually, the shadow mice are a very intelligent species. That is why they were able to survive all this while, without any combat abilities. He really has many uses for these mice. Mice looked at each other, and squeaking sounds could be heard in the night. Sam waited patiently. Squeak squeak, how can we believe you? One mouse said, abruptly stopping the discussion. Sam only sneered. What do you even have for me to betray you? You guys will die sooner or later in this forest. You have no combat ability that I can make use of, but there is some use of your abilities for me, which in fact I can manage on my own with some more effort. Even I want your life, I can just kill you guys now, and you can't do anything about it. I am just doing this because I don't want a species like you is too precious to be extinct. Take it or leave it. Squeak squeak, we are in, the mouse, which was initially caught by Sam, said as soon as he finished. Sam immediately finished the beast taming contract with him, which is entirely different from the one he did with Yanwu. He kept all the mice in the divine dimension and gave them food, after which he walked towards the camp, where by this time, the principal is getting ready to enter the forest. Seeing him coming back safe and sound, everyone heaved a sigh of relief. Well, everyone except one. Sam entered the carriage and dropped the partition, which happened to be a bed that has a hinge below and stood up and vertically. Behind the partition is another big bed that is sufficient for at least 4 people. Sam offered the bed to the ladies and he slept on the partition bed. Philip, Jack, Sean slept on the extra mattresses and slept on the floor. The other girl, who is not familiar with him, also took an extra mattress and slept a distance away, and rest of the people were left alone outside. Sam didn't even bother to ask them what their plans on sleeping, and he just laid down on his bed and drifted into sleep as he looked at the view through the window. Next day morning, everyone woke up early and started their journey. If they travel faster, they can reach the city by the evening. The journey is smooth as there are no mishaps. Sam just stayed silent as he thought about what to do in the Falcon Cliff City and about Yanwu's message. He wants to see how Yanwu is doing. With their own thoughts, the group arrived at the city before it got dark. They stopped at the city gate, and the Starwood City Lord went to the guards and took a letter out to show them. After the guards examined the letter, they looked at the extravagant carriage and felt quite surprised. Clearly, these guys are not the only city that came here, but they didn't see anyone making such an extravagant entrance with level 2 beasts as the carriage steeds. They let out a sigh and allowed them to enter. Sam looked at the city through the window and felt quite surprised. The living conditions of this Falcon Cliff City are way better than the Starwood City. He estimated that the city is around 4 times bigger than Starwood City. Principal led the way towards a street which is full of inns, and some of them are booked for the contestants for the tournament. When they entered the inn-designated inn and showed the required documents, the attendant guided them to their respective rooms. But when they saw the rooms, they couldn't help but shake their heads. The rooms are narrow, and they are not even 1/3 as big as Sam's carriage, and except for the principal and the city lord, everyone has to share a room with another person. Sam looked at the principal with a questioning gaze. Principal excused himself and went to find the manager and came back after some time with a gloomy face and a box along with him. The manager said that the inn is totally allocated, and we are only left with these rooms, and the authorities responsible for this also approved of it. Here, these are the tokens that you need to have throughout the stay here. he said, and opened the box and passed the tokens. There are 10 tokens with numbers from 1 to 10, and 2 tokens that have word supervisor and 5 tokens with extra on it. There is Starwood City written on all the tokens. Principal distributed the tokens to all the students, and distributed the extra token to the students who were not a part of the team. While he and the city lord took the supervisor tokens. Every student took their respective tokens that can kept on their waistbands. Eisen looked so proud as he looked at his token with 1 on it. He gave Sam, who was examining the token number 10 token, a proud and disdainful look which the latter disregarded without even acknowledging. Sam looked at the token and tried to store it in a normal storage ring but was unable to. Then he hung the badge inside the coat and then started walking outside. "Where are you going?" Principal asked as soon as he noticed. "Just to take a look around," he said, and without even turning back walked towards the entrance. On the way, he noticed the other people who seemed to be from other cities, and when he looked at the room through the open doors, he felt quite surprised by the difference. The students have separate rooms for each, and the rooms are neat and spacious. He went to the receptionist and asked, "Can I know how many inns are booked for the contestants?" The receptionist looked at him with a strange gaze and said, 3 inns are booked. The one on the right and the one on the left." Sam thanked and left to look at the street. The street has inns on both sides, and each inn might be having around 20 to 25 rooms. He walked towards the inn which was not taken by the students and asked the receptionist, "Are there any rooms left?" The receptionist sized him up a bit and asked, "Are you a student from other cities here for the tournament?" Sam nodded his head. "Then, we can't give you a room. There's an order from Sir Arlo that the rooms can't be given to the candidates or the supervisors from other cities. If we get caught by doing so, we will get our inn sealed." Sam raised an eyebrow at the reply. "Why?" he asked, a little bit curious. But the receptionist also doesn't know. Sam came out and walked towards the allocated inn. This time all the people from the Starwood City are coming to the dining area for the meal. Sam encountered them and joined the meal. But when they entered the dining area, they were held up outside and weren't allowed to enter for some time as they said that the dining room is filled. They waited for some time until the others came outside the dining room, and when they entered and took the seat, they were always served with some porridge. All of them frowned and asked the waiter, who replied, "The dishes are over and there are no ingredients left. I hope for your understanding." Even though with their cultivation level, they can stay without eating anything for a while, they still felt indignant for the treatment. Sam looked at the principal and Starwood City Lord and asked, "You guys know who Arlo is?" Principal felt confused and shook his head, while City Lord's expression changed and sorrowed his brows. Sam understood and didn't say anything and just walked outside. When Philip and others were about to follow him, he stopped them and said that he would come in a while. He went to the carriage and stored the whole along with the bulls and the panthers into the divine dimension, when there is no one near, and walked back to the dining room and looked at Philip and his friends. "I don't want to stay here. How about you guys?" he asked them without looking at the 2 middle-aged men. Philip, Jack, Sean, Freya, Haley, Cully shook their heads. He looked at City Lord and said, "How many days is the competition due?" "A week from now at the Falcon Cliff Academy," he replied in low voice. "We are leaving. We will meet you at the day of the competition. Every day one of us will come here and you can relay any message if you have," Sam said and turned around to leave. "Where do you think you are going?" Eisen asked even before the 2 supervisors. Sam didn't bother and this time Principal asked, "Sam, where will you stay? How about we go to another inn?" Sam shook his head and said what happened when he went to find a room. He looked at the City Lord and said, "You can clean up your own mess. I don't want to bear the consequences for whatever you have done." He then turned around again and when he was about to leave, Eisen yelled, "You aren't allowed to leave." "I don't agree." Sam halted and looked at him with a cold and sharp gaze. Looking at that, Eisen continued, "Where do you think you can stay now? You said that they are not giving any rooms for us." Sam smirked at his words and said, "Who said I am going to inn? I am going to my own house." "How can you have a house here?" an underling of Eisen asked him. "There is none for now, but there will be in a while." This time he didn't stop and left with his group without even looking back. Principal shook his head and led the rest to their rooms. Now that the 7 people left, there is more space, and some of them got single rooms to sleep. Sam and his group are walking on the streets as they watch the bustling city, which is many times livelier than Starwood City. They wandered the streets and at a random restaurant, before finding their way to a shop. This place is a pawn shop. Sam asked around the streets to find out where he can buy a house, and most of the people said only one thing. No matter you want to buy, you can find it in the vicar's shop. He finally arrived after finding out the directions. The shop is so big. It is almost in the size of his riverside mansion. Sam along with the group walked inside the shop and were surprised as soon as they entered. There are myriad of things. Weapons, arty crafts, animal remains, carcasses, special treasures. There are almost all kinds of things in the shop. There's a counter where a middle-aged man sat lazily. The middle-aged man is wearing a bright red outfit, and he has his eyes closed as if he was dozing off. He has a short beard and mustache. He has a bronze skin, and his face has a mischievous charm. They slowly walked towards the counter, and just as they were about to wake him up, he immediately woke up and looked around. His eyes brightened up as soon as he saw Sam and his group. "Welcome to Vickers' shop. How may I help you?" "Whatever you want, if it is available near the premises of the Falcon Cliff City, you can buy it. We will not only accept money, but also trade with treasures." He then looked at Sam and sized him up. His eyes narrowed and a mischievous smile appeared on his face. "I need a house," Sam said as in an emotionless voice and cold voice. "Oh, you came to the right person. What kind of place do you want?" "Quiet, peaceful and spacious. It is fine even if it is in a deserted location." "Aha, I have a perfect place for you. Please follow me," he said and came out of the counter. He led the group to the outskirts of the city. The place has no houses nearby, and there is a large yard with a lake. The mansion is large and there are several rooms, but the color seemed a little faded, indicating that it has been a while someone stayed here. "Do you have any other places?" Sam asked Vickers. "Ha ha ha, actually this is the only place available right now." Sam raised an eyebrow at the answer and said, "Okay then. I will take it. How much? How much are you willing to pay?" 35,000 spirit stones. Deal. As soon as Sam made the offer, he agreed. Sam was surprised a bit for this action, but he didn't say anything. He took out the spirit stones and made payment. "You have to come to the shop for the deed," Vickers said with a smile. "Okay. I will go with you," Sam replied and said to his friends. "You guys go inside and choose your rooms. Just leave me a room with study." He then walked along with Vickers. When they arrived at the shop, Vickers went inside a room while Sam sat near the counter. After a while, Vickers came out with a scroll, and the transaction is completed. Sam looked at the deed and nodded but didn't leave. He seemed to be pondering and finally asked, "You said that I can buy anything as long as it can be obtained near the Falcon Cliff City, right?" "Of course. Anything," Vickers replied in mischievous tone. Sam just looked at his eyes without answering. Something about this guy is making him feel uncomfortable, but he didn't sense any danger. The unease is because he wasn't able to see through him at all. His strength, his level, his age, everything seemed to be a mystery. "I want information," Sam said after a short silence. "Sure. What information do you want?" "About the underground organizations in the city. I need the name, strength and types of business they deal with." "Deal can be done, Sam. But the info is one of the most expensive things you can buy," Vickers said. "How much?" 5,000 spirit stones. Sam didn't say anything and just placed the stones on the table. Seeing this, Vickers just smiled and said, "The info will be delivered to your doorstep tomorrow. Do you need anything else?" "Dark element spirit stones," Sam said in a low voice. "Oh, that is unexpected. I thought you might ask fire and light attributes," Vickers said with same smile, but Sam's expression changed as he looked at the man vigilantly. "Don't worry, Sam. We will never harm our customers. This is the motto of our business," Vickers said. Sam didn't say anything and just placed a big bag of stones on the table. There are around 100,000 spirit stones in it. "What is the exchange rate?" In Falcon Cliff City, dark element stones are very rare, and exchange rate is around 1.7, but since you are making such big exchange, I will give you discount and accept 1.5. Sam didn't refuse and received the 20,000 dark element stones and left. Sam reached the mansion and went into the room. Surprisingly, the main room was left for him, and it is fully cleaned without a speck of dust. He opened the window and laid down on the bed. He looked at the night sky as he thought about Vickers. After all, this is the first person who was able to point out his elements right after a single glance. Sam woke up early and went downstairs. He saw all 6 people at the dining table eating some normal breakfast. He joined them at the table and chatted with them randomly. He asked suddenly in the conversation, "Who cleaned my room yesterday?" Everyone fell silent and looked at each other in confusion. Sam observed their faces and saw the genuine confusion. When he saw Kelly, he instantly understood. She is looking down, not daring to make eye contact with him and blushing red. He just shook his head and didn't call her out. He just diverted the topic, and after some time a knock was heard at the door. Kelly volunteered to escape the situation, and when she opened the door, she just stood there in confusion. Sam noticed this and walked there. He saw a bunch of scrolls in front of the door and picked them up. He saw a note among them and smirked. Indeed. Literally, information at the doorstep. Sam muttered and turned towards Kelly and said, "These are for me. I will take it." Kelly nodded and turned around to leave. Then she abruptly stopped when Sam said, "Thanks for the room." She blushed hard and ran away without saying anything. Sam walked towards the stairs and called Jack along with him to his study. When there were only two of them in the study, he placed the scrolls on the table and said, "These are the info on the underworld organizations in the city. Take a look and tell me if anything is similar to Blackwater." Jack nodded and both of them took out a scroll each. There are around 6 scrolls in total, and each scroll contained details about each gang. After looking through the scrolls, Sam understood roughly about the structure of the underworld in the Falcon Cliff City. There is a total of 6 organizations, and 4 are minor organizations, and 2 are major organizations. The 4 organizations are namely Northern, Western, Eastern, Southern gangs, which are only collect some protection fee and some other minor things. Every business has to give them protection fee to have their business run peacefully, and they will do random odd jobs of intimidating, sending warnings and beating people up. These organizations are just like any normal triads in modern Earth. The remaining 2 organizations are the real deal. They're another level. They just don't do odd jobs, rather there are some organizations that even the city guards don't want to mess with. The first organization is named Piranha. This organization is simply a mercenary guild. We can put a hit on any person in the city, and the city's under jurisdiction of the Falcon Cliff City. Not only will they take assassinations, they will also do jobs on kidnapping, arsons, etc. They will take any mercenary assignments that cannot be done openly. The other organization is called Kendiru. This organization is even more dark than the Piranha. They are the ones responsible for all the prostitution in the city. Every brothel in the city is run by them. Not only that, they are responsible for the illegal slave trade. Every rich person and noble families have dealings with this organization. Sam couldn't help but frown at these organizations' deeds. The strength of the organizations is also very high. The minor organizations have few novices as core members, and the leaders are at middle stage novice. The major organizations have many novices, and their leaders are a peak stage novice. The same level as the principal and the city lord. Sam felt a little puzzled at this info. Because the peak of novice stage is just in charge of a small city, but they can even be some big shots in the Falcon Cliff City. He really didn't understand the situation. He threw the though on back of his mind and looked at Jack and said, "There really are no direct clues connecting them to the Blackwater. But we can't be so sure. I think we should gather more intel." Jack nodded and asked, "Where did you get this intel?" "I bought it." "You bought it? Where? How?" Jack was a bit surprised. He never thought that this type of intel can be bought so easily. "Vickers." Sam's answer surprised him even more. Never would he have expected that the Vickers store will sell intel. "Can we buy more from him?" Jack asked. After the initial surprise, there is some excitement that they have an opportunity of getting intel easily. "We can do that. But I don't want to," Sam answered slowly. "Why?" "He would not have a problem with getting the intel. But he is giving me a weird feeling that is making me repulsive to work with him. I don't know what it is, but the feeling is not really good," Sam said as he looked at the scrolls. Jack stayed silent for a while and then asked, "What is our plan then?" "I have something to do this 1 week. You guys keep in contact with the principal and city lord. I will go out for a while, send someone to the inn and give the address of the mansion to the principal. He will have a way to contact us, if there is something urgent," Sam said and walked out of the room as Jack followed. Sam wants to go out and take a look at the city. Just as he was about to take a step outside the door, a sweet voice came from behind. "Sam." Cully stood there as he looked down and said in a low voice. Sam turned around and looked at the beautiful girl in a black dress, which is in a beautiful contrast with the jade white smooth skin. Her red lips, the voluptuous figure and the beautiful face can make a disaster befall a man. But Sam was only dazed for a second and asked, "Yes, Miss Kelly. Are you going into the city?" Cully asked in same sweet and slow voice. Sam only nodded. "Do you want to visit the Artisan Tower today? My father asked me to take you there," she asked while trying to avoid looking at Sam's handsome face and sharp eyes. Sam thought for a moment and nodded. Both of them walked side by side as they went into the city. The mansion they are living in is at eastern side of the city, and the inn the principal is staying is also in the same area. The Artisan Tower is at the western part of the city. They walked slowly, while looking around the bustling city. The Falcon Cliff City is near the foot of a cliff, which is the territory of the Whirlwind Falcons, which is in northern direction of the city. There is a patch of woods separating the cliff and the city. Sam and Cully walked on the roads, and they attracted some attention on their way to the Artisan Tower. After all, a beauty and a handsome walking in black outfits together is not an everyday thing, but they didn't cause much commotion. Sam is paying attention to the streets and is to see if he can get any info about the gangs. In the info given by Vickers, he mentioned that the 4 minor gangs have their respective headquarters in their territories itself. But the headquarters of the 2 major organizations are in northern region, where big shots of the city usually live in. The northern region is the place where the Count Mansion, Falcon Cliff Academy, the residences of the city officials, the noble families live. The businesses are very high-end and best in the city. The northern gang only takes the protection fee from the smaller scale business in the region, but they are still far better than the other regions. The Falcon Cliff City has 4 exits. Southern Gate, Eastern Gate, Western Gate, Northwestern Gate. The remaining directions are either covered by woods or dead ends. Sam walked slowly as he observed the layout of the city. They walked for an hour, when they finally arrived at the Artisan Tower. The Artisan Tower is far bigger than that of the one at the Starwood City. When he looked at the tower and the people flocking in and out, he couldn't help but be surprised. He walked in along with Kelly and they went to the reception. "Sam, you wait here. I will ask about the appointment." Sam nodded and took a seat at the waiting area, while Kelly walked to the receptionist for the inquiry. After a few moments she came to where Sam sat, and just as she was about to speak, someone called her. "Kelly." Sam and Kelly looked at the direction where the voice is coming from and saw a person standing there. He is a young man wearing an Artisan Tower uniform, and he has a badge of rank 2 weapon artisan on his chest. He seemed to be in his late 20s, and his cultivation is at late-stage novice. The young man walked towards them and directly ignored Sam and stood in front of Kelly. "Hello, Blake." Kelly greeted him in a cold voice. The earlier sweet and gentle tone she has when she spoke to Sam is not there at all. The guy named Blake didn't seem to be offended and spoke. "I heard from your uncle that you broke through the novice stage and also became a rank 1 artisan. Congratulations." "Thanks." Kelly replied curtly and broke off the conversation. Then she turned towards Sam and said, "Sam, the receptionist informed the tower head about our visit. We can go there now." Her tone became gentle again. Blake caught the difference immediately and became displeased, but didn't show it on his face. "Kelly, who is he?" he asked as he pointed at Sam. Sam didn't mind and just walked around as he made his way to the stairs and stood there as he looked at Kelly. "Kelly, if the acolyte needs weapon, I can take the job. Why bother master with such trivial things?" Blake spoke and then turned towards Sam and said, "Hey mister, I can take up your job. Even if you can meet up with my master because of Kelly, you cannot possibly afford his services, so don't waste his time," he said as he made his way towards Sam. Sam didn't reply and completely ignored him and looked at Kelly. "Shall we go? I still have a lot of things to attend to." Kelly nodded and walked up the stairs leading the way. When Blake saw both of them ignoring him, he felt humiliated as he looked at the surrounding people looking at him in a weird way. He immediately followed the duo. After a few moments they reached the top floor of the tower and made their way into a room. There Sam saw a middle-aged man whose features are similar to that of Kelly's father, reading through a scroll. He diverted his attention to the 3 people who just entered. Blake walked towards the middle-aged man and bowed to him as he greeted. "Greetings, master," he said and stood behind the middle-aged man with a proud look on his face. "Greetings, uncle." Kelly also greeted him as he smiled at her and gestured her to sit across him. She sat there and introduced. "Uncle, this is Sam." The middle-aged man nodded at Sam, for which the latter replied in the same way, and took a seat beside Kelly. Blake became unhappy and furrowed his brows as he saw Sam not bowing to his master. "Nice to meet you, Sam. I am Howard, the tower head of the Falcon Cliff Artisan Tower," he said with a smile. Sam looked at the artisan badge on his chest. There is a golden color badge with symbols of hammer and flames, with 5 golden stars beneath a number. "Nice to meet you too," Sam replied in a cold tone. Blake got irritated due to the blatant disrespect. "Master, if you don't mind, I will take the job of this guy. After all, an acolyte's weapon doesn't need a respectful rank 3 artisan like you have to make," Blake said with an arrogant tone. "May I know why you called me here?" Sam asked, ignoring Blake completely, which made latter furious. "I am just curious as to how a genius like you looks like," Howard asked before giving any chance for Blake to flare up. "Then, the task is completed, I guess," Sam said and stood up, indicating that he wants to leave. He really didn't like the place or the people. Kelly also became FL.stirred as she looked at Sam, who was unhappy. After all, taking his time off just to show his face is not a valid reason at all. "Don't be in a hurry, Sam. I have something to ask you," Howard said with a smile, but only got a cold look as a reply. He then continued. "Do you want to join the Artisan Tower as staff?" he asked directly, without beating around the bush. "Not interested," Sam replied directly, which made Howard a bit disappointed. "Master, why are you talking with him so politely?" Blake butted in the conversation and then he looked at Kelly. "Kelly, is this the manners of your friend? Why is he being disrespectful to the master? Does he even know what type of status master has? Him being requested is his honor." Sam is running out of patience as he looked at Blake. Howard also looked at his student and said, "Enough, Blake. Stay put for a second," he said and turned towards Sam again. He observed that the latter is looking at Blake with an unhappy gaze. "I have something to do. Please don't ask me to visit you, just to get an earful from your student. It is annoying," Sam said bluntly, making Howard awkward and Blake furious. Blake was about to lash out but was stopped by his master. Sam looked at the master and the disciple and walked out of the door. Cully immediately bid farewell to her uncle and followed him. After they left, Howard looked at his disciple and asked, "Why are you targeting him? Do you even know who that guy is?" Blight didn't answer and just looked down. Howard continued, "That guy is by rank equal to me. Do you even know that?" This time Blight became surprised. "How is it even possible? He is even around 10 years younger than me." Blight asked with a shocked tone. "He is indeed more than 10 years younger than you. He is a pseudo-rank 2 artisan and a rank 3 scholar artisan. He has a lot more reasons to be proud of than you, and I didn't see him tooting his horn. Here you're asking directly that you would make a weapon for him. Are you even worthy to do that? Learn to be humbler," he said and left his disciple alone. Sam and Cully are walking downstairs. Cully is a bit fl.stirred as she saw Sam's cold look. Even though that is how he normally looks, she couldn't help but think that he became colder because of the meeting. "I am sorry," she apologized in a gentle tone. Sam looked at her abruptly and saw her fl.stirred look and smiled a little. "It has nothing to do with you. You don't have to apologize." Cully heaved a sigh of relief and looked at him. Sam thought of something and asked, "How many artisanship does this tower has?" "The Falcon Cliff Tower has 4 artisanship. Weapon artisan, painter artisan, scholar artisan and tailor artisan," she answered immediately. Sam nodded and went into a deep thought. When she saw Sam was thinking, she waited a while and asked, "Sam, I have a request." Sam looked at her with a questioning gaze. "Can you make a dress for me?" she asked in a very low voice that at the end Sam almost didn't hear at all. Sam chuckled and said, "Sure. Let's go," he said as he walked towards the reception. Kelly was shocked and stood there irritated for a second. She really didn't expect that Sam would easily accept. She was contemplating whether she heard it right or not, and by the time she came out of daze, she saw Sam already talking to the receptionist. After some time, he and Cully both came out of the tower. "What did you ask at the reception?" Cully asked out of curiosity. "Nothing. I want to take the tailor artisan exam. So, I asked her about the details. We will come back here after lunch. I will make you dress as I take the examination," he said with a smile. "Thank you so much, Sam." Cully became excited. She really had enough of Freya's bragging. Sam just smiled and both of them walked towards a nearby restaurant. The restaurant is so high-end and luxurious. It has 5 floors and even the waitresses and receptionist also dressed exquisitely. An attendant welcomed them and asked, "Sir, which floor do you want to eat?" Sam was a bit confused, then Cully explained from the side. Each floor has difference in service and food. The first floor only serves normal food. Second floor serves the level 1 beasts, but the service is normal, and the beasts are reared. The third floor is level 1 beasts and they are wild game. The fourth floor is for level 2 beasts of lower level, and fifth floor is for level 2 beasts at middle stage and late stage. The higher the floor, the higher the service. "Oh, we will go to the 5th floor then," Sam said as he looked at the attendant. Attendant gave a smile and said, "Sir, to dine in the 5th floor, you should have a golden grade VIP card. To obtain the card, you have to pay 10,000 spirit stones, and you also need to have a certain status." The smile on her face is still there, and voice was absolutely polite. "This status would be enough, I guess." Sam showed his scholar artisan badge, and the attendant clearly became surprised. She came out of her daze and said hurriedly, "Let me call our manager," she said and left quickly. After a few minutes, she came with a middle-aged man, whose cultivation seemed to be a peak of novice. He wore a black robe, and his face is cleanly shaven and a bit pale. He has a shoulder-length long hair. He can be considered handsome. He walked towards Sam and greeted them politely. "I heard that young sir here is of esteemed status. Sorry for not receiving you myself." His voice was humble and polite. Sam looked at the man in his deep brown eyes and replied, "You are too polite. Can I take a look at your badge?" the manager asked. Sam nodded and passed over his artisan badge. Verifying that it was authentic, he smiled brighter and then said, "I will finish the formalities right away. You can receive your VIP card after you have your meal. You can pay along with your food bill," manager said as he gestured the attendant to lead them to the 5th floor. Sam and Cully sat in private room of the 5th floor. He looked at the view through the window. Sam then looked at the artificial pond in the middle of the 5th floor hall through the one-sided glass door. The floor tiles are all black in color, and even the floor underneath the pond are black in color. Even the furniture is made with a black color wood. Soon, the waitress arrived with the dishes that they ordered. Sam cut a steak of fiery bear, which is a fire-type beast. Cully also started eating. After a while she asked Sam, "Why did you take the VIP card? I don't think you would stay here often, do you?" she asked with plain curiosity. She knew better than to think that he took the card to impress her. That is why she asked him, why you spend so much, just to have a single meal. After all, level 2 beasts aren't something off the reach for Sam to eat. Sam didn't answer and just smiled. Cully also didn't probe further and continued eating. After they finished eating, Sam paid the bill along with the 10,000 spirit stones, and took the golden card which showed the VIP customer status. Sam and Cully walked out of the restaurant. Sam kept on fiddling with the card as he looked at the name of his in the restaurant. Black Pond. This is the name of the restaurant that he just visited. He went there just because he wanted to see what kind of place this is. The name made him curious and aroused his suspicions a bit. But when he saw the whole restaurant, he didn't find anything fishy. He and Cully went back to the Artisan Tower, and he took the Tailor Artisan exam. Sam took his time when he went into the testing room. The room is just like the previous time. It has glass walls and doors, except that the tools and equipment are of the tailors. There are all kinds of tools related to textiles like looms, mannequins, marking table, all types of special scissors, all sizes of stitching needles, etc. Sam took out a black textile. This is the textile he made with the silk of heaven spirit silk moth of fire type. Generally, the silk is in red color, but he used a special technique and made the color black. This type of silk can be considered as rank 3 tailoring materials. The regular tailoring artisans doesn't use the silk because most of them in this realm might not even know the silk moth. Sam took a dress from Cully which he is using to take her measurements. She is now looking from along with the spectators from the outside. The spectators are just like before. There are a lot of people waiting for him curiously. Because there are only 2 tailor artisans in the entire city. They were here because they want to see that if there would be a third one. Sam took some measuring ribbons he used to take the measurements and started measuring Cully's dress. Cully blushed and her face became as red as cherry when she saw it. Sam didn't notice that and he is in his own world. When he saw the measurements, he started pondering on what dress he has to make. Because Cully's body is more matured than Freya's or Haley's, and he need to think of a different style if he wants to enhance her beauty. Sam took his time and others started to doubt what he was thinking. What happened to him? Yeah, why isn't he doing anything? I think he is bluffing earlier. I think so too. He is young after all. What is happening here? An authoritative voice stopped all the discussions. Howard came forward and stood beside Cully and asked, "Is he taking the exam?" Cully just nodded and stood there looking at Sam. Interesting. The tower head muttered and he also stood there. Sam finally got an idea and took out a paper and a brush. He kept it on a table and just before he was about to draw, he mumbled to himself, "I better make a pen for myself." He then started drawing a dress as he imagined Cully's figure. After some trial and error drawings, he finally decided on what to create, and then he took out the black cloth he prepared before. He marked the cloth and cut it with a specially made scissors according to measurements. With his no time, he has bits he needed. He didn't take them directly to the mannequin. Instead, he took out 2 circular wooden frames from his storage. The circular frames are of a specific size that one frame's outer diameter is same as the other frame's inner diameter. He took the garment and fixed a part of it between the 2 frames. He supported the wooden frames on a stool-like metal frame in such a way that the garment surface is parallel to the floor, and the place below the cloth is hollow. Sam sat down on the floor and took out a long needle, which is a hook on one side. He took out a thread bundle which is also black in color. He placed the black thread under the cloth, and then stabbed the needle from the side of the hook. The hook held the thread, and when he pulled it through the hole he jabbed first, and a small loop of thread came out of the cloth surface. He then jabbed the cloth between the loop and pulled another small loop of the thread, and made a very small knot, and the process continued, and after a few moments, he made a maple leaf pattern on the cloth. He made numerous leaf patterns, and after the part of the cloth that is in the frame is done, he changed it and fixed another part of the cloth. Soon, all the garment pieces he prepared are embroidered with the black leafy patterns. Even though the cloth and the embroidery are of same color, they can be seen clearly because of the contrast provided, due to the difference in thickness of the thread. Sam smirked with satisfaction as he saw the successful embroidery. When spectators looked at him, they were beyond confused. What kind of technique is that? This is the question that is bugging everyone's mind. Of course, they won't know that. Because, this is a traditional Indian embroidery technique called Ari, also known as Magam. How would these guys know that? Sam walked towards the female mannequin and started sewing the dress. Soon, the dress took shape. What Sam is doing right now was completely unfamiliar to the spectators. This looked like a gown, but it is too slim to call that. They can't decide it because Sam is making a traditional Chinese dress. It is a cheongsam. The black cheongsam with a collar. It has buttons to the right side of the chest. The dress reached all the way below the calves, almost reaching the ankles. There is slit on the right side up to the knee, which won't be visible unless they made a vigorous movement. Sam particularly made this cheongsam because, for him apart from an Indian sari, a cheongsam is the only thing that enhances the beauty of a woman like Kelly. When a charm of the bodily features and skin reach a certain level, their beauty can only be enhanced by simple clothing. That is the reason why he didn't do an extravagant embroidery like he did with dresses of Haley and Freya. After the cheongsam is completed, Sam took the dress to the testing platform. Basically, the tailor artisans are tested mostly for the skills and the effective usage of the material. Even though the cloths are used mostly for defense, the effectiveness of the defense that can be obtained through the usage of the cloth is the most important in the testing. Not only that, the test will also take the beauty and aesthetics into the considerations. After waiting for a few minutes, the platform brightened. A badge appeared. This time also, the badge is black in color. Everyone gasped in surprise, but when they saw the number on the badge, the surprise turned into surprise. Sam held the badge in his hands as the result appeared on the screen. Product name unknown. Product type dress. Creator Sam. Rank of the product rank 3. There are 6 golden stars below it. In the same way, there is a cloth and a needle symbol. A number 3. Total of 6 stars. Sam became a pseudo rank 3 artisan just like that. Sam walked towards the exit along with the dress and the badge. Cully finally took a good look at the dress. Her eyes were almost filled with stars as she saw the dress carefully. The skilled craftsmanship. The design. The exquisite look took her breath away. When Sam saw her lustful-like appearance, he stored the dress away and said, "It is not ready yet. I will give it to you tomorrow morning," Sam said, pouring cold water on her expectations. Both of them walked back to the mansion as sun started to set. At the same time, another person is walking towards the northern region from the eastern region. This guy is extremely familiar to Sam. It is none other than Eisen. Today, after Sam went out with Kelly, Jack went to meet the principal to show him the mansion. Eisen tagged along, and when he saw the mansion, he burned with jealousy. Then another news made him even more angry. It is the news about Kelly and Sam going out together. This made him even more jealous, that he almost wanted to destroy the whole mansion. He is walking towards the Piranha organization to place an assignment. Eisen went to a deserted restaurant and walked to a private room directly. There's a man in black, who also covered his face, sitting at the table without doing anything. Eisen took a seat at the table and placed a note on the table. When the other part saw the note, he immediately made eye contact and asked, "What is the task?" The man asked in a hoarse voice. "I need some beasts crippled. They are pets of a guy." Eisen replied, "What level are the pets? What level is the guy? How many beasts?" "They are a peak of level 1. 2 panther-type beasts. The guy's peak of the level 3 acolyte. You know where he lives." Eisen took out a note of the address and passed it over. Then he said, "There is one thing. That guy is not ordinary. He is an inscription master, a formation master, an artisan. His status is high. You better be cautious," Eisen warned. The guy in black stayed silent for a minute and said, "The price will be high." "Sure." Well, Eisen is plotting something to teach a lesson to Sam. The said person is back at his mansion and went into the tower inside the divine dimension. Sam is right now inscribing on the black cheongsam he made for Kelly. After a few hours spent in the tower, he came outside and saw the night sky. He went to Kelly's room and passed over the dress and went back to sleep. Kelly immediately ran downstairs to the Freya's room. That night the two ladies kept on bickering about whose dress is better. Next day morning, Sam is still sleeping soundly as sun rose up. Suddenly, a loud knocking sound woke him up. He opened the door with a displeased expression only to see Freya standing there with an angry expression. He felt confused on how he pissed at this shameless chick. "Sam, you are biased," Freya shouted, halting his thoughts. "What do you mean, I am biased?" he asked with even more confusion. "You clearly made a better dress to Kelly. I want one too," she said as she crossed her hands across the chest. Sam immediately understood what is happening and immediately shut the door without even replying. When Freya was about to knock again, Sam's voice could be heard from other side of the door. "If you knock one more time, I will take back the previous dress I gave you. Don't think I am bluffing. Try me if you dare." As expected, she immediately stopped her actions. She gritted her teeth and stomped her feet in anger, before turning around and left. Sam slowly washed up and walked downstairs only to see Freya continuously complaining to others about how unfair he was when he shunned her at his room. Her tantrum stopped when she saw him coming down. When he sat there, she immediately averted her gaze, refusing to talk. "You do know that I have no obligation to make you dresses, right? I already made you one on basis of my promise. Now, you are behaving as if you were entitled to get that dress. Do you really think you can afford the dress I gave you? I could auction it off to tens of thousands of spear stones. Don't push your luck, Freya. This is not your home, neither am I a family member who treats you like a princess and gives everything you need," Sam said in a cold voice from the side, silencing everyone's chatter. He stood up and turned towards Philip and said, "I have something to do. I will be going out and I might not come back today. Take care of the panthers," he said, and left the mansion. Sam left the panthers and bulls in the yard, in order to not arouse the suspicions of others. He said that he brought them the night he went to get the house deed. He then left them in the yard for themselves to play. Anyway, not many people will come to this secluded mansion. Or so he thought. Sam left some shadow mice at the mansion, and left with the rest of them to the Falcon Cliff. He wants to search for Yanwu as soon as possible. His mind is not at ease on finding that there is human near Yanwu, because he can't trust a human being that would be able to control his greed. Sam slowly made his way to the northern region and entered the woods which separate the Falcon Cliff and the city. The woods didn't have any high-level beasts as this territory between the humans and the Whirlwind Falcons. Any high-level beast that vying for the territory has to bear the brunt of the both parties. By the time Sam crossed the woods, it is already noon. Just as he neared the foot of the cliff, he heard a voice in his head. Sam's voice belonged to Yanwu. Sam could sense that Yanwu is not far away, as their contract connection is effective within a certain range only. For now, based on their current cultivation level, the limit is within 500 meters. Sam looked around to see if Yanwu is within the woods, but wasn't able to find out. He closed his eyes and started concentrating on his connection with Yanwu. The connection is so faint, which means Yanwu is at the very end of the range. After a few seconds, Sam opened his eyes and looked at the cliff. He sensed that Yanwu is within the cliff, but he doesn't know where exactly. He started climbing the cliff. His speed was so slow, because his concentration is on sensing the location. After he climbed to a certain height, he moved towards right side, and between the high protrusions of the cliff, he saw a small opening, which can bare fit a single person. Sam immediately entered it, and found himself in front of a rocky path. He started walking slowly and then found a junction where several paths are leading to different locations. He took a path and walked forward until he saw a familiar silhouette in a cave. Yanwu is in his original golden crow form, and he is floating in the air as he faced a huge bird. Sam was a bit bewildered as he looked at the bird. He got an answer in his mind, but he didn't dare to believe it. Yanwu greeted him as soon he saw Yanwu. Sam also smiled as he embraced the golden crow. Sam then looked at the creature in front of him and was a bit confused. Yanwu explained from the side. This is Sky. Arakla's Sky Sovereign Rock bloodline. Hearing this, Sam immediately thought, I am right. It really is a rock. This is the only thought he has in mind. What happened to him? He asked as he saw the rock sleeping and its expression of extreme pain. Sam observed closely and found out that the cultivation level of the rock is far higher than his. I will explain it later. First let us cultivate. I have a lot of energy stored. Yanwu said and immediately started transmitting the fire elemental energy to him. Sam sat cross-legged and then started digesting the energy along with Yanwu. He immediately broke through to the level 4 acolyte as he was at the edge for quite a long time. Meanwhile, Yanwu also broke through to the middle stage of level 2. But they didn't open their eyes as there is a lot of unrefined energy left. Both of them sat still and started refining the energy. The spiritual core of Sam was filled to brim and was forced to expand again, leading to another breakthrough. Level 5 acolyte. The energy still ran rampant, and it finally stopped only when he was at the brink of breaking through the level 6 acolyte. By the time they opened their eyes, it is already evening and sun was already set. When Sam looked around the cave, he found two unfamiliar presents, and immediately got alerted as he released his aura and about to attack. Sam, wait! Yanwu shouted from side and he stopped himself from attacking. When Sam saw clearly who the other two were, he saw a young man who seemed to be in his early teens and another bird, which seemed to be a whirlwind falcon which is at level 1 on his side. The falcon is about same size as the young man. Sam stood normally as he sized them up when Yanwu introduced. That young man is Watt, and that falcon is his friend, which he calls by the name Falk. He is the one who helped me write a letter for you. Sam looked at the guy named Watt from top to bottom. He has a pale skin and lean figure. He looked a little timid as he didn't even dare to see Sam straight in the face. The Falk is indeed a whirlwind falcon, and it seemed to have a certain connection with the boy. The boy is at the level 3 initiation. He seemed to be recently awakened. I am Sam. Sam introduced himself as he extended his hand for a handshake. Watt slowly extended his hand forward and timidly shook his hand. Sam sat on the floor and asked Yanwu. So, what is the story here? A few days back when I leave the Starwood City to investigate something, this is the place I mentioned. I got a familiar energy impulse from this cave, and when I came here, I saw the impulse came from Sky. By the time, these two guys are already here. Yanwu pointed at Watt and Falk and continued. Sky sealed himself here, and these two guys accidentally broke the seal which released the energy impulse. The impulse is very familiar to me as I have sensed the same type of energy when I was in higher realms. You mean, that Sky is also from higher realms? Sam asked, a bit shocked. He is already a bit shocked that there is a higher realm being like Yanwu in this lower realm. Now if he met another one, Sam would seriously doubt that whether there is an abnormality. But Sam's worries were unfounded. No, he is clearly from this realm. The Sky Sovereign Rock is indeed a higher being. But Sky is a normal great rock with bloodline of Sky Sovereign Rock. Does the impulse you sense belong to that bloodline? No, actually the energy I sensed is the reason why Sky is like that. He is affected by a fire poison, which is a special technique of Bifang bloodline. Seems at the place where Sky is from, there is a species with Bifang bloodline. If not for the fact that the other party is not a pure Bifang, Sky might have been dead by now. So, why are you here now? How do you know these things? Actually, Sky can wake up from time to time. But he won't be able to stay awake for a long time. I wanted to extract the fire poison from his body. Not only will it help him to save his life, it will also give a raise in cultivation level. We can absorb the fire poison directly. How long do we have? Sam asked as he looked at Sky. He doesn't have much time left. I was unable to take out a lot of energy as I have low capacity. If we work together, we might be able to do that. But if we delay, he might not make in past 3 days. Sam stood up and slowly touched Sky as he started using his observation. He was able to see each and every cell of the giant creature. But each and every cell is being affected by a severe fire element energy as they became weaker. Half of the organs are already half burnt and ready to collapse. The beast core is also being affected as it is reducing his cultivation level. If not for Sky's high cultivation level, he would have been dead.